Happy Mother's Day, everybody, with Deep Dive Zone, a Sonic review series for fans of all shapes and sizes. I'm your host, Devin, joined as always by my comrades Lauren and Bruce, and today we have some Sonic X episodes, starting with another very convenient coincidence for this episode, namely that our first episode for today is Episode 7, Giant Free-For-All, Chris's House Party, or in the dub it calls it Party Hardly. Both of those titles make it sound more exciting than it is. However, the description is what's important here. Chris's mom plans a huge dinner party at the mansion, but the combined effort of work, Mr. Stewart, and Cream the Rabbit cause it to go awry.
Yeah.
And, this is a Cream, Chris, and Chris's mom episode for the most part.
Mostly.
Basically, yeah.
It does. I'll say this. I don't mind it starting out because we started with Cream being clearly like bored and like lonely because she's cooped up inside the house, and so she's out picking flowers with cheese, even though they're supposed to stay inside.
Yeah, I was about to say, Chris literally tells her moments before, "Please stay in this room."
He's not her dad.
Well,
that is true.
I guess I could say it now. I'm just gonna say it now. Cream is really annoying in this episode.
You think so?
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
a little bit.
Like, I get that she's a kid, but, like, she's not been actively, like, getting in the way in any of the games that we've seen so far. This is new.
Oh, yeah. I mean, Cream has been portrayed as almost comically well-behaved in most media up to this point.
I mean, for the most part, she's been pretty well behaved as far as we've seen her here so far, up until this episode.
I mean, she hasn't really done a whole lot other than get saved by Sonic.
That's
but
true.
Yes. But the toll of being stuck on an alien world with how her mom is probably taking its toll on her. I wish I had chosen better vocabulary for that. And this does give Sonic an idea to go get flowers from somewhere?
Yep.
Some famous place.
Well, it's like a poster on the wall that says Peace Park, and it's like some canyon with a bunch of flowers, I guess. But it's like it's like you see him grab that poster off the wall and you realize, oh, that's our excuse for Sonic to not be around for a while this episode.
Yeah, pretty much.
He almost doesn't even need to be in the episode at all.
I mean, he's barely in the episode, period.
He's not in it much, I admit, yeah. But the other side of this episode is the plotline surrounding Lindsay Thorndike, who is not much of a housewife, despite wanting to be, apparently.
She clearly wants to be, and I can, No, at least she's trying.
I mean, she's a famous movie star.
Right.
People that are famous often tend to desire more simple living.
Right.
But it's really funny because she's like, "Oh, Chris, I haven't gotten to cook for you in so long." And Chris is like, "Yeah, oh god."
Oh boy.
Chris and Ella both are just they look genuinely distraught at how terrible a cook Lindsay is. And the fun continues because she's also like, "I want to throw a dinner party. I want to cook for everybody."
Ah, yes. For everyone, they only invite like fucking 5 people. Also,
well,
I mean, she does actually let Ella cook for the party.
Yeah, she lets Ella cook for the party, which is probably smart.
Yeah, I know, but it's like you get that knee jerk like, "Oh god" reaction, and yeah, it's I guess it's more of a family thing.
Yeah, more of a family get together.
Not that it turns out that way.
No, we'll see that soon enough.
And I'll say this: Chris mentions that his uncle, a super speed freak, is gonna be there, and I'm wondering, have we mentioned up to this point that Sam Speed is his uncle?
I think so.
I thought Devin mentioned it. I don't think the show's actually mentioned the show,
but I'm wondering if the show itself.
No, the show, as far as I know, hasn't. I think we've mentioned it.
Okay, but of course, Cream hears all this, and she's like, "I wanna help with this," but it's like, well, we're keeping this as a secret from everybody else in the house. There's not a lot we can do.
Yeah.
But she doesn't care at all, and she proceeds to start decorating.
Yeah.
Yes, and in fairness, I also don't care that much, and I think that they should have told them long ago, but,
Well,
So
I mean,
here's the thing.
yeah.
If this is a situation that they've set up, I'm pissed off. But they shouldn't have set up this situation in the first place. It's true.
Honestly,
Yeah.
yeah. This whole setup with them not actually telling them about the aliens is stupid.
Yeah, well, let's keep moving. So this this next scene is also a hell of a something because Mr. Stewart comes up to Chris because they've been spying on him, so obviously they know something like this is happening, and so he comes up to Chris and is like, "Hey, so to get to know each of my students, I'm visiting their houses, starting with you."
I don't understand how that wouldn't just be an immediate red flag. Well, I guess Chris does. Does Chris
Call the
actually react
police.
like it's a red? Yeah, call the police. But does Chris even react like it's weird?
I mean, he does. He just doesn't do anything.
I guess he doesn't.
Because what are you gonna do when you're a kid in that situation?
If my teacher says he's coming to my house, I'm telling him fuck off.
Okay, but how old is Chris?
He's 12 years old. I don't.
Well,
I think if anything, Chris is upset because he's like, "Oh no, I'm going to be found out." Not, "Oh no, this man wants to butcher me and my family."
no, I know. He's more concerned about Sonic and friends being found, but it's still, this is a total red flag.
Yeah, it is very, very strange. It's our family plus Mr. Stewart at this dinner party. And yeah, like Lauren said, Cream, she wants to help. She's too young to understand that. Like, don't be stupid. And she's trying to decorate, and I do love this bit where she's messing around putting, I don't know, was it streamers on it or something. And Chris gets her out of there, and then Ella walks in and is like, "Wow, Mrs. Thorndike really decorates like a child."
Well, to be fair, she says that she's a kid at heart.
I know, but it's like, I don't know. I think it's funny to imagine that just the only thing that Lindsay is adept at is acting.
I mean,
Well, I mean, it kind of makes sense. I mean, if you'd ever practice something.
Yeah, she's never really. I don't think she's ever had the opportunity to not do anything but act.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We don't know much about any of these people's upbringing. We don't know much at all about Lindsay's side of the family. Only about whatever dad's name is. Nelson, is that his name? I don't know.
No.
Shortly before that bit, Chuck it comes down the stairs all dressed up. He's like, "I can't believe I couldn't wear my lab coat. Mr. Schnocka wouldn't let me." And let me just say, lab coats are perfect attire for parties.
They should be, at least.
Well, and speaking of Mr. Tanaka, I want to point out that he actually totally does see Cream, and it's like, "Hey, is she your friend?"
Yeah, he's just like, "Yo, is this child your friend?"
And Chris is like, "Yeah, can you not tell anybody about that?" And he just doesn't. So it's like, what is even our problem at this point?
I have to give them a lot of points for just completely subverting the trope where, like, it's very obvious what one character is hiding from another, and there is no way that an intelligent person would miss it. And then, intelligent person doesn't miss it. But the problem is that they want to have their cake and eat it too.
Well,
they play it straight at the same time.
I am kind of surprised that they've started doing this quickly. Also,
yeah, it's very silly, and Cream is even worse at keeping the cover because she completely destroys the kitchen and fucks up Ellen's cooking in the 3 seconds that Chris isn't looking at her.
And then she just runs away in a panic.
Yeah. You're supposed to be the polite child. You're not taking responsibility.
Yeah,
see,
but
that's the thing. Is Cream, like, I mean, she's a kid, but I don't know. It's the fact that she's very agreeable and nice a lot of the time. And
then it's not that a kid could never do this, is that it feels a little out of character for Cream, I think.
Yeah.
It does.
It's like the least you could do, like, even if she is like running around decorating stuff, that's one thing. Destroying the kitchen is another one, because like her mom had to have taught her not to do that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, completely.
And of course, something between a punchline and a dramatic moment between all of this is the fact that Lindsay's not even going to be at her own dinner party. She ends up landing a major film role and has to leave for filming on the same night of the party?
Yeah, because there's a media show tonight as well.
I will say it is hilarious when she gets all sad and the lights dim for absolutely no reason.
I want emotional response lights. That'd be great.
I mean, this mansion has a lot of stuff in it, so you never know if that's like legitimate.
Yeah.
Probably not in an era before like people had like phone apps, but the whole house, is synced up on Wi-Fi. They've got Juicero.
Oh god, they would have Juicero.
And I'm kind of conflicted about this because on the one hand I want to be like, can't you just say no? You're already overwhelmingly wealthy, right?
Yeah, you're already disgustingly rich. You could just say no to the role. I do. I do still feel bad, but like,
I don't feel.
I can't feel that bad.
I don't feel 100% in committing to that. I don't know.
So
I feel kind of bad.
It's not about the money. I think it's about the recognition, actually. Personally, not knowing this character very well yet, at the moment, it comes off as them being kind of shallow and wanting to come off as a good mother by throwing a party for everyone, but really she actually cares more about coming off as a star in her movies, and so that takes priority.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's weird because she's like, you're brought to tears over this, but you'd only be missing out on the acclaim and the money if you didn't, whereas you're crying because you're giving up the time with your family for that.
I don't know. It doesn't seem like a logical decision to make, so that's the only
It doesn't seem
explanation
like
I
she's
can come
really being forced at all.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I
she
think
obviously
that's the
isn't.
thing.
Yeah. In between all of this, we've been getting scenes of Sonic looking for the flower spot. I still don't know why he needs this specific one, but I just feel it's worth mentioning. He is technically in this
flowers.
episode.
He is. He's doing something that's almost entirely unrelated.
Yeah, like it's clearly he's just doing it so that they could have Sonic in it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So mom leaves, but then they're going around the house and they're like, "Where's cream and cheese?" And I had this moment of, "Oh no, did they get in the trunk of her car or something?"
Mm-hmm. That was my immediate thought.
That really would have pushed it over the edge.
I don't know if you're supposed to think that because they don't treat it like that's even a possibility.
No, they don't. But that I'd be surprised if that didn't come to most people's heads.
Yeah, I don't know, but they're not in the car; they're still in the house. But
no, yeah.
Mr. Stewart gets here. He's got a bunch of spy bugs that he's gonna plant in the house.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, that makes sense.
Ella gives him and Chris the bad news about Lindsay not being there, and they are interrupted by Chuck, who seems to have fallen out a window.
I think he's covering up looking for cream and cheese.
Well, I understand that, but like, why is he on the ground? What happened? It's a weird moment.
I was looking for something when I tripped over a planter and broke. Okay, yeah. Oh no, he just tripped over a planter.
Okay.
See, this is why I have the episodes open while we talk about them.
I've got the Sonic Wiki screenshot galleries, which I feel are easier to scroll through one by one. But
I mean, probably. But this also gives me the
you can see the subtitles
and subs. Yeah.
Anyway. Yeah. So everybody's hiding so they don't get seen. Tails is in a cupboard. And Cream ends up just being behind the curtains.
She's hiding like a true champ. She's hiding like an actual 6-year-old playing hide and seek.
I'm gonna be honest. I don't even think she's hiding. I don't know why she's behind the curtain.
She's actually. I think you're right. She's not actually hiding.
Maybe she just thought it would be fun, to be in a cozy little place. I say she's not hiding because she, again, no care at all. It's just like, oh hey, thanks Sonic. When Sonic shows her that she has the flowers, what?
So I actually do kind of like that bit. Just did that. Sonic shows up with the flowers, just walks out in the middle of the room talking about how excited she is. It's the rest of the episode that makes that not feel like a punchline because she's not trying in any of the other scenes either. And I do like the next bit, which is that Chris is still trying to use the no, it's a doll, it's a toy, as she's walking around and talking.
Yeah, it's like a Furby.
Uh-huh.
Oh God.
It wasn't funny the first time. It wasn't funny the second time. I started laughing by the third time. The way Mr. Stewart handles this, he doesn't want people to think that he knows what's going on, so he can keep playing the undercover agent.
He keeps looking at the fucking art.
What a breathtaking painting. I don't remember the exact line. But he says that like over and over, and it's like a simple geometric thing.
On how beautiful
it's not even remarkable.
No, it's just a modern art, but it's
Is it based off something specifically? Is it a Rothko? Is that what it is?
I don't fucking know. I'm not cultured enough to know.
I don't know shit. Is that even what Rothkos look like? I'm looking it up right now on my phone. No, not really. Okay.
All right.
In any case, yeah, it's very, very silly, and
it is.
Sam Speed arrives here at the same time, and we learn, I think, my favorite fact about him, which is that he is extremely divorced.
Yeah, he falls in love and out of love extremely fast.
Well, that's his catchphrase is,
right.
I do something fast, but I also do this other thing fast.
I'm married early, but I also divorced quickly. Jesus Christ. He does give off divorced energy, let's be honest.
Yeah. Do they not translate that catchphrase in the dub?
I don't remember that, no.
Okay. But I think that's an amazing character trait to give to this guy.
It's funny.
Who is obsessed with having a car faster than the teenage hedgehog. Well, I mean, the rest of this scene is great too, because he sees Sonic in the window, and everybody who knows who Sonic is just gaslights him.
It is actually like legit funny.
No, it's pretty good, and eventually, they keep trying this, and he's like, "No, it's a talking animal," and Ella's like, "Oh yeah, a talking animal like the little rabbit, right?" Like nobody's buying this at this point. They're just all extremely confused.
Yeah.
It's honestly, I hate it. It's really annoying. I do not like this.
I can understand that.
And yeah, and for once, I'm like, okay, thank you, Cream, so that we can stop this nonsense. When she just like,
so
jumps up and like, "Oh, Chris, how dare you?"
Well,
so he says your mom is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris tries to change the subject so that they stop talking about Sonic by essentially just negging his mom a bunch.
Which is kind of rude.
Well, I mean, it's weird, though, because, I mean, he's complaining about her being too busy to see him all the time. And, I don't know, you're kind of right there.
He is right, but...
Again, we just saw her, as far as we know, make an active choice to not be present. If you had something to hold over her head, something like, oh, we're gonna blacklist you from the industry, maybe, if you don't take this role. Something like that. But they don't say that.
This is 100% a case. The story wants you to see it one way, but it very much portrays it the other way.
Yeah. Case in point, with Sam also joining in on this, I guess just to dunk on his sister.
Well, yeah.
It's just like, hey, buddy, you're not starting families anytime soon. you try it. But yes, this sets off Cream, who had seen Lindsay getting upset about all that earlier. So she yells at Chris and runs off, and I think that Tanaka's extremely weak defense here is
yes, I've been working on my ventriloquism.
Yeah.
And you can also use your voice to move objects around.
Yeah.
That's really specialized.
Impressive.
Yeah, 3 of them at once, because Tails and Amy go running off after her.
Oh, it's true, yeah.
And after this completely wacky farce, Stewardess is like, well, I'm heading out. I sure didn't see any of that.
Yeah, I've just been staring at this piece of art.
There's a bit where he considers hiding the listening device and then doesn't.
And then he just doesn't for some reason.
I don't know why. It might be because he sees all this going on. He's like, "There's nothing valuable to get from here."
It's
They're
too chaotic. We're not going to
pathetic.
get any good information.
How am I supposed to take any of these people seriously enough to spy on them?
Ooh.
And yeah, like this whole thing is just a big stupid joke, basically. Because
Oh,
Sam
yeah.
ends up leaving. Chuck is like, "No, Ella, there's nothing happening. You come dance with me." And like at this point, the house is basically just empty. And Tanaka's like, we should probably just tell her at this point.
Yeah, which I
This is the really annoying thing. Is this whole episode is based on this premise, and this whole episode undoes the catalyst, and so
yeah.
you should have just not had the catalyst and not bothered with the episode.
Well, yeah. Realistically, Tanaka and Ella should have been brought in on the information about Sonic and his friends at the same time Chuck was.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta do a lot of reaching to be able to get this premise to work, and
Yeah.
I mean it's like whatever whatever your reason for keeping this a secret, they were just not telling Ella, and now they just decide to tell her just because they feel bad for her, which means that the secret can't be all of that serious in the first place.
Pretty
And
much.
case in point, there's no actual consequences for this. It just turns out completely fine. Ella is happy to have been let in on this, and is happy to have Cream around as help in the kitchen and to be less bored.
Right.
And-
I'd like to point out that Cream this completes the spoiled brat arc because they get their way and no one ever scolds
They
them.
do get their way. That's true.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, I don't know. Chris is like, "Oh, I feel bad about what I said about my mom," and it's like, he says, "I can see my mom whenever I want, but Cream can't," and it's like, I thought the whole
yes.
idea is that you can't see your parents all
No,
the
I think
time.
what I thought he was trying to say is like he can see his mom in a movie or something.
Well, that's dumb. I mean, if you
Yes,
want,
it
if
is
you want to go
dumb.
for anything, it's I actually know where my parents are. Whereas
Yeah, like I know my parents are. I can give them. It would have been better to say I can like talk to my parents whenever I want, because he
Yeah.
can call them and they will. Seems like they will pick up when he calls.
yeah, it's not like they had to make an appointment for
No, exactly.
episode 2.
So it's like he can. It would have been better if he just said, "I can talk to my parents whenever I want." Cream is kind of fucked.
It's okay though. She forgives forgives Chris, sorry, for whatever, makes a flower crown for him.
A very cute present. Unfortunately, it will just kind of rot away.
Well, I mean, it's not meant to be like a you wear this to work thing. I don't think.
I know.
It's just meant to be her being nice.
No, I know.
Which is needed after this episode of her being a bit of a nuisance.
Yeah, she's been a brat the entire episode.
It's okay. We've found a surrogate maternal figure for her, so.
That's true, and that's probably exactly what she needed.
And yeah, so that's this episode, and well, it had some funny moments, but I agree that it's like a little bit frustrating.
Yeah.
I would just say it's bad. Skip it.
I mean, I think the only part you really need to see is just the fact that Ella's been, well, they make it clear that Tanaka already knew about them.
Yeah, I wouldn't even need to say that you
And
need
that
to
Ella
know
knows about
Ella.
them.
It's not that big a deal. You could just
It really isn't that much a big of a deal. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. There was some funny stuff.
I feel like there are other places I can go if I want antics with furries hiding in a mansion. There's a BoJack episode that does exactly that. There's like 40 people trying to hide in one mansion with a couple having a massive fight. It's really
I
fun.
was wondering where you were going with that.
Anyway, so that's that episode. Moving on. Episode 8. Emergency Launch X Tornado, or Satellite Swindle in the dub. Sonic and friends are challenged when Dr. Eggman blocks out all satellite communication on the planet, and the tornado may not be enough to combat this aerial threat.
This episode's got some bullshit in it.
Yes, it does.
Well, it starts out on a good note because after that other episode, they immediately Dr. Eggman is here like, okay, good, we'll have something entertaining.
Exactly.
In this
For something we didn't mention, no Eggman last episode.
Yeah, The best episodes of this show will always have Eggman in it.
Of course.
And yes, our robot of the week is E90, some kind of armored rocket.
It looks kind of like Thunderbird 2. I think I don't know if anyone else here has watched the Thunderbirds.
No, don't know shit about it.
Nope.
Okay.
This is the first robot in the dub that's referred to by its E-series name.
Oh, interesting.
Interestingly.
That is interesting.
All right. Well, it blocks out telecommunications because its main function is to hoover up satellites.
Yeah, well, and Eggman says he's going to eat the satellites and use them for robot parts. I thought he came with all the robots he was going to use.
So I think it's partially that, but it's mainly just so he can replace them with his own TV satellites.
Well, I mean, that's very Eggman, to be fair.
Well, case in point, this fucking thing. Cream's favorite show is this terrifying Barney ripoff thing.
Yeah, what is Barney's Horrifying?
I don't know if this guy has a name. I don't like him.
He's might as well just call him Barney.
Yeah, so the Eggman channel is an upgrade as far as I'm concerned.
Honestly, yeah.
Oh,
I'd rather
definitely.
have the Eggman channel. Here's the thing, though. We like Eggman.
Yeah.
In the universe, he's a terrorist.
Well, I know
True.
that, but they should love him anyway. Look at what our real life society glorifies about
Jesus
the
Christ.
powerful people. I don't know. This is not a funny joke.
It's true though, actually.
What is a kind of funny joke in my opinion is this bit where they get some pie. Amy and Elle bring in some pie, and Tails tries to grab it, and Amy swings it out of the way and swings him into the TV, which conveniently coincides with the satellite blockout. And then Cream breaks down and shouts, "The TV is dead!" I don't know what they say in dub, but it's funny in general.
It's quite. I don't remember. It's either that or they destroyed it or something. But yeah, and then everyone proceeds to talk about how that to just be terrible without the TV. I don't know why, but they spend a surprisingly long amount of time on talking about how without the TV everything is worse.
Look, it's the early 2000s. What more entertainment do they know?
Mr. Tanaka being quietly furious that he can't watch samurai movies.
The most important thing you can't watch. I mean, why else would you want to watch the TV?
I want to know when he's watching TV in here is the question.
I don't know, maybe he's got his own little TV.
But
speaking of little TVs,
oh yeah,
Cocoon flies in.
That is a good segue. God damn,
with the little egg TV there, and I absolutely love this moment because Eggman is like, "Ha ha! See, I've vacuumed up all the satellites, so you won't have any more TV. And don't you dare try to stop me, Sonic." Hint, hint. Like he is definitely. There's no reason he would tell Sonic about this unless he wants Sonic to try to stop him. It's great.
Yeah. Well, and everybody's hiding from the gonna explode TV. But Eggman, instead of ending off with "this message will self-destruct," he goes with "this robot will now automatically cry," and Boku does.
He does, yeah.
Until Chuck picks him up, which he then explodes.
That's gotta just be self-defense or something.
I don't know what that is. It's a weird gag, but I kind of like it.
No, it's fun.
Anything that's just Eggman fucking with people is a good story in my book.
Definitely.
But yes, they're taking the bait. So Sonic and Tails flying up to fight E90, classic style.
There's this really weird moment because Tails is like, "What's a stratosphere?"
Oh right,
Tails.
Wait,
You're a smart guy. Why do you ask that?
I thought it was Chris who asked what the stratosphere was.
Let me double check.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. Yeah, Chris asked what the stratosphere is. And granted, Tails then says, "I don't know much about this world," so it sure sounds like Tails is about to say, "I don't know what the fuck a stratosphere is."
Okay, I'm slightly misremembered, but that does actually basically mean the same thing, which is that he doesn't have an answer, which is kind of weird.
Which is dumb, because you have a plane, bro.
I didn't even notice that bit.
Also, the diagram they used to show the stratosphere is literally just the fucking sky.
So, yes, Sonic and Tails fly up to fight the robot, but it doesn't work. They crash immediately because it's a tornado, and that's most of what it does.
Well, so,
True.
The fucking E90's up in the stratosphere. The tornado can't go into the stratosphere anyway.
Uh-huh.
The
Well,
tornado
yeah.
is an open cockpit. It's not pressurized.
Well, I know that, but that doesn't mean it has to. It's not exploding because of that.
No, but the tornado shouldn't. They shouldn't be using it anyway to go to the fucking stratosphere.
Listen, they don't have a lot of options until they get
No,
back, in which they have more options.
Yeah, until they get back and they do something even stupider.
So,
It doesn't start stupid.
No, it doesn't. It starts a little stupid.
well, so we get down. We get to see some of the Dr. Eggman show, which I love.
Of
Heck
course.
yeah.
But Tails and Chuck, they start brainstorming ideas for how to improve their plane using the Chaos Emerald that they grabbed, which would, I don't know, that seems like a bit of a risk.
Well, we've seen how Chaos Emeralds react to the tornado.
It works great. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, sure, great. That's the word I'd use.
Uh-huh.
Sonic Adventure 1 hasn't happened yet, so...
That
that's
is
fine.
actually a good point.
Also, in all this, we're going to be making a new plane. It's very convenient that Chuck just has an entire giant underground laboratory under the house.
He's a mad scientist. Of
Yeah,
course he does.
Of course he
I'm not
does.
saying
That's-
I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. I'm just saying it's very convenient. So they work all night basically, and Eggman. Okay, I want to point this out. Eggman, he's broadcasting the Dr. Eggman show, right?
Mhm.
He has a photo of his location in there and says, "I'm on an island in the south." Are you just
Guess
giving
what?
yourself away?
The government can find you now, Eggman. Good job.
The government
Well,
already
next
knew
week,
where
then,
he
is going to be
was.
Yeah,
exactly
that's
And
that's
I
a good
think
point.
he knew that the government
government's
already
already
knew where
been
he
spying
was.
on him. That's a good point.
Maybe. But yeah, time for an unveiling. Tails and Chuck. Well, they didn't so much improve the tornado as build an entire new one.
Yeah, they went
Um,
from a biplane to a fucking fighter jet.
Uh-huh.
It's the X tornado, the only thing that actually uses the letter X in this show, and I hate it.
It's funny.
It is really ugly.
I fucking hate this thing because
Yeah, no.
okay,
I,
it's not that I think it's a terrible design on its own. I don't love it. It's the fact
I
that
think it's butt ugly.
It's the fact that I don't love the mechanical designs in this show, which, we've talked about how an underrated part of Sonic's appeal is cool machine and robot designs.
Yeah.
But they took the most unique, most Sonic-looking plane in the show, or item in the show, and they made it completely indistinguishable. It's not even
Right.
blue or red anymore, it's white.
That's also a good point.
And the tornado already had a transformation that was X-shaped. Yeah, so I don't like it as much. There are some things that it'll be used for that the tornado couldn't.
Well, sure, I get that much, but
No, we're all on the same page here. The regular tornado is better.
Yeah, well, they could have also just iterated on the transformed tornado's design.
Yeah, I mean the most significant portion of this is that Chris requested his own seat in the plane.
Right, because we have to keep bringing the fucking child on dangerous missions.
I do think Sonic's response to that, where he's like, "Fine, but stay out of the fucking way," is pretty good.
That is basically what he says. He's slightly nicer about it, but it kind of surprised me that he was that straightforward with Chris.
I mean, I don't get why he keeps putting up with Chris coming along.
Don't alienate the kid of the guys that are giving you a place to stay.
I mean, I don't need Sonic to be an asshole about it. I don't know.
No, but Sonic, if anyone should be doing it, the main character should be, or the one of the two main characters, because I guess Chris is the other main character, should be telling him, this is dangerous shit. You probably shouldn't be going.
I mean,
He actually hasn't actively gotten in the way yet, really.
I guess he hasn't
yes, but I don't think. I think
also
Sonic has the confidence to say if there's ever a problem, I can handle it.
Sure, I get, but he hasn't gotten in the way, but he also hasn't. He's only done one useful thing, and that was getting the Chaos Emerald.
I mean, that was pretty big.
That was pretty big. I'll give him that.
He did also save Sonic's life.
All right, fair.
It's what it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Hey, look at this. The tilting runway trees from SA1 are now Chuck's instead of Tails's.
That's a nice reference.
Yeah, I do want to. Is this the main road or is this their like driveway?
I'm not sure we've seen a panning shot with the runway in relation to the mansion. I don't think it's the
I
main
don't
road, but
think we have. That's why I assume it's just a runway.
I
But that's a
assume
or a
that.
driveway. That's a really long driveway.
So I would not at all be surprised. Did Chris's parents come in a helicopter before?
Yeah, they came, his
They
dad came in on at least one helicopter, I think.
they may come in like airplanes sometimes, and so they have a private runway.
Jesus Christ!
I mean, it's possible.
I mean, no,
it
that's
makes
totally
sense.
possible. Just land a Gulf Stream, I guess.
Yeah.
That is beyond disgustingly rich. Jesus.
There's a Taylor Swift joke in there somewhere, but yeah. So Sonic and Tails, they're taking on E90 in the new X Tornado, and there's like some good animation moments in this bit with some of the
There's some cool
explosions
stuff.
and fights going on.
Yeah, there's some pretty cool stuff here.
Sonic is left hanging off the side of E90 before Tails grabs him and they chase it into the stratosphere proper.
Yeah.
And I assume this is probably the bit you're saying is a little bit bullshit. It is so cold up
Uh-huh.
here that Sonic and the plane freeze?
Fuck you. Sonic cannot take negative 50 degrees.
Well,
Fuck
yeah,
you.
so the
Fuck
thing
you.
the thing that gets me about this, it's bad enough that yeah, he's just freezing up at 50 degrees and he's fine.
He's also talking while he's frozen.
That he can still move, and also Chris is like, "What? What about Sonic?" And Tails is like, "Oh,
Yeah,
Sonic
Tails
can
just
take
hand
it."
waves it.
Like they act like this is a normal thing.
I'll
Like
admit,
Sonic is just cold resistant. Excuse me, when does this ever come up? No,
I
never.
do appreciate that Chris Chris actually does question what the fuck is going on. I thought Sonic was gonna die here.
if we assume that Sonic 2 is canon to this show,
That is
Sonic
true.
has taken a rocket into
Yes.
space without protection to the Death Egg.
That is true.
Now
That
that
is
doesn't
still
mean
dumb,
that Tails
though.
should be encouraging this. Just get him inside. Doesn't it have 3 seats now? Isn't that the whole
I
point?
don't know, man. Give him a fucking pressure suit if you're gonna have him standing on the outside.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. But I know that space is weird in Sonic, because
True.
like the space colony arc happens, for instance.
True,
But
yeah.
they didn't literally freeze solid before. I assumed that space
Yeah.
just isn't that cold in Sonic. But when he's literally encased in ice, is a different thing.
Yeah, he gets like or semi-flash frozen.
Well, I would assume that, like, you know, the Ark or the Death Egg or whatever have some kind of atmosphere to them, and that's why they're able to breathe in space. That's not the case in this show. There's going to be multiple sections of them just breathing in space, but
Ooh.
in this case, this is the only time in the whole show where space is shown to be cold.
Oh,
So I don't
okay. Somebody realized that this is ridiculous.
know.
Also, I don't think the X Tornado should work in space.
I mean, they kind of designed it to do exactly that, so I'm not that worried about that.
Okay, fair.
I don't know how I feel about their solution to this in general, though, which is that they plug one of the wires of the X Tornado into a ring.
It's a power ring again!
The power rings are
Ah.
once again our hand waves.
I believe that a ring can give Sonic strength. I believe that a
Yeah.
ring can power something. I
Sure.
don't know that I believe that it's an electric heater. I don't know if it's the X Tornado itself that's acting as an electric heater. I don't
Also,
know
I
why it would be
assume-
doing that on the outside of the ship.
What I assumed was going on, the ring was just acting as a power source for whatever the tornado's doing.
That makes more sense, but it's like...
But the way they word it sounds more like the ring is doing the work and the tornado's just acting as like a conduit.
I don't think it's that, but I don't understand. Are you heating up the hull of your plane? And if that's enough to freeze, to unfreeze Sonic at, like you said, negative 50 degrees, shouldn't he be burning?
Yeah, Sonic should now be
Yeah.
like on fire.
But apparently it just gives him energy. I don't know.
They infuse him with ring
he
powers.
he glows as if he was holding the ring.
Yeah.
Like
Rings.
key transfer.
I would like to also be clear that, well, until this moment, this is starting to push a little bit. I don't have a problem with how the rings, like what they can do in this show. I just have a problem that they're not even coming from anywhere. Like, you don't even have to
No,
get
they're
them
just-
from a lake. They just
Yeah, it's
have
true.
them,
The
and they
rings
just
like-
solve it
Yeah,
instantly.
they have the rings just on hand.
Yeah, I mean, it would be.
If
It's-
they had, I would rather them to actually have a way to get them.
Yeah, well, and I mean, they do have one because they've gone. How many episodes did it take to get a Chaos Emerald? 4.
Yeah.
So if you were going with the most, I think it's the most common canon explanation that rings are basically energy overflow from Chaos Emeralds. That's your
Mhm.
perfect solution. You have an emerald, it makes rings.
It makes
Um,
rings. Yeah.
And
That
they
makes
only
perfect sense.
They only used a ring, as far as I know, without an emerald. Like, I don't know, 2 other times in the show. In the first episode, does Eggman have all the emeralds or just the red one?
I
We
think he
don't
has all
see-
of them.
I think he does have them all, because otherwise how would they all be
Chaos
in this
control,
world
yeah.
now? Yeah.
Yeah,
We only see
so
one, though.
you could, if you cut out those 2 scenes and didn't have rings here until you have an emerald, then it would be fine. But it's very, very convenient.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Overall, it's a better episode than the last one. Probably it's at least more of an action
Not
episode.
difficult,
Oh yeah.
but yes, it is better.
It might be less funny in a hitting myself over the head with a rock way, but I don't know.
I mean, it's got better action. Well, it's got action. Period.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's important.
I don't like the X Tornado, but it's whatever. Also,
I
I don't know
mean,
how
we're stuck
everyone
with it.
reacts to Sonic winning before they get back because they didn't see it on the TV.
They just know he's gonna win.
Oh, psychic communication.
Mhm.
And yeah, they end with Sonic soaking in some warm water.
And chili soup, which I don't. Is that just chili?
Put it on a hot dog. Episode
Oh,
9.
So close.
Episode 9. Amy on the Beach, or as Deb calls it, The Last Resort. And you know what? That's a better title because that syncs up with the Sonic Underground and Adventures of Sonic
Oh my
episodes that
God.
are also named The Last Resort.
Oh my
Jesus-
gosh!
Jesus Christ!
You're right! Oh, that is too perfect.
I assume that must have been purposeful by 4Kids.
Probably, yeah.
It would be amazing if it were a coincidence.
It would be interesting, but I
It can't
doubt
have been a
it.
coincidence on the part of Deke, because they made both
No.
those shows.
Right.
I don't know. The gang takes a trip to a beach resort, but Sonic decides to stay away from the water. This action, unsurprisingly, results in trouble as Dr. Eggman attacks. So, I'm guessing in the dub they don't say it. In Japanese version, they explicitly say that this is Emerald Coast Resort.
Yes, they do.
Oh, no, it's in the dub too.
Okay, interesting. I guess that's not that surprising.
So, apparently, this is really weird. Apparently, Chris's mom got an invite to a party near here, but couldn't go.
Oh,
so,
Chris-
Classic.
so the 12-year-old has to represent her?
The 12-year-old
Sure.
and his grandfather.
Why wouldn't they just send Chuck?
Good. Yeah.
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 They should have. That's true.
I mean, yeah.
Maybe Chuck went and he brought Chris along, but they explicitly act like Chris being here is the guest of honor. I don't know.
I think it's probably like, oh, look, it's our son, our bright future.
The
Like,
father-in-law
he's gonna
doesn't
do.
count.
I get the idea that he's viewed as a bit eccentric. Like, his inventions probably make a
yeah.
lot of money, but like he's not the
No, he is a hermit, so
yeah, he's not the
Yeah.
super outgoing famous scientist type.
Right.
yeah. But it means that well, so Chris and Grandpa are there, and then Tails, Amy, and Cream are all just on the beach, sort of near here.
Well, they have a villa on the beach that the furries are staying at.
Yeah, so that's even more amazing rich people convenience. Not that I'm surprised, just like, wow.
No.
So Amy spends a lot of time envying humans with real relationships and wishing Sonic was here with her.
Yes. Can you see what this episode's going to be about?
Ah, yes.
Yeah, this is it's okay though. We don't need to worry about that. Sonic's not interested in being here. He'd rather hang out in places that don't put him at risk of drowning.
Very smart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody's hanging out. We're building sand castles. We're not scuba diving, but snorkeling. Actually, she's not even wearing a snorkel. She's just wearing goggles.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, Sonic characters can hold their breath for a while.
That's true. They,
And she could just gulp down some bubbles if need be.
Real.
yeah, it's true.
I mean, technically, I guess you could do that in real life, but it'd be really, really hard.
Yeah, it's a big enough bubble, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it would have to be a really big bubble.
Yeah, our lung capacity's got to be a lot bigger than Sonic's.
That's why I said technically.
Very technically.
Anyway, Eggman's here. He's gonna attack the rich person party.
There's this moment when Amy gets angry and throws a coconut, and it hits the Eggman robot that's just chilling in the water, and I'm like, man, it would have been a lot funnier if Amy had like awakened a sea monster just by happenstance.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do like seeing Eggman too.
Oh yeah, I like seeing Eggman, but like I think it would have been funnier if this was just like, oh, by the way, this is just here.
Yeah, we have the Octobot E38 and a bunch of E39 like soldier foreman construction bots. Kind of like if there's ever a time to bring out the egg pawns, it'd be here. But
Yeah.
here's a weird thing. These guys talk in the Japanese version, but not in the dub.
Oh, that's interesting. I noticed them talking, and that really threw me off.
Yeah, well, especially since most of the robots in the show don't talk anyway. So.
Right. Yeah, that's why I was confused.
And
seeing
frankly,
Eggman
if
robots
either
talk.
version is going to be the one to give them voices when they didn't previously have
I'd
it,
expect
it
it
would
to be a
dub.
sub. Yeah.
But they're demolishing the resort. They're turning it into Eggman's incredible not interstellar amusement park. They turn it into Egg Vegas. There's even an egg Statue of Liberty. It's great.
I love the Egg Statue of Liberty.
The Egg Sphinx is taking me back to
It is
Adventures of Sonic the
Egg-
Hedgehog.
Oh yeah. And Eggman. He's not being subtle or anything. He's bragging on
No.
TV about this, which Sonic manages to actually see, which is funny because Bokun gets here and he's like, "Well, you already saw what Eggman's doing, so here's a bomb instead of a TV."
Yeah, here you go. Something needs to blow up.
Some days you just can't get rid of a bomb. And this is a direct upgrade to the resort. Eggman is doing a gracious public service for everyone. They shouldn't even be trying to stop him, really.
Also, I thought
well-
Chuck went to the resorts.
Eggman does more or less say that the rides are supposed to basically scare you and then kill you.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, well, I might do it anyway.
Oh.
That's right. So Bokun mentioned that there were lots of traps for Sonic based on his hatred of water, right?
Mm.
Sonic gets here. All that E38 does is grab him and dunk him in a puddle.
It works.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it tries to basically drown him.
I know, but that's like not really a trap. That's just
No,
that's
it's
like
just
saying I have a
violent.
prank pulled on you, and the prank is that I slap you in the face.
Great prank.
Wonderful prank. Let's go.
It does seem Eggman's style to be like, I've got a diabolical thing, and then just does the super predictable thing just to like throw off Sonic. Because I mean, he's caught pretty well here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. We actually Amy gets to do something. She
Yes.
gets to help. She jumps out of the plane. She smashes the E38 arm holding Sonic, and that helps him so he can destroy the main body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was surprised. I was like, wow, like after being useless in the other episodes, this
Yeah,
is
I like that
this is
Amy actually
cool.
gets to have some action.
Yeah, and she's like, "Hey, I made you this little Lucky Charm shell bracelet based on some other people that I saw doing that," and that's something. But then it gets smashed, and now we have righteous anger for retribution or something. I don't know.
Well, the thing is, like, that does happen. But
Yeah.
first, we spend like a solid minute of her like having a mental breakdown. It's like surprisingly long. She's like,
It
I can't
is.
believe it. I made this for Sonic, and now it's
Now
broken.
it's
What?
gone.
I've utterly failed at everything. And then she could be like, oh, okay, wait a minute. Someone did
Yeah.
this though.
Yeah,
Actually,
wait a second.
Time to kill.
I can have revenge.
E39 Neo, which is what they call it when all of the E39s are combined into this weird dragon thing.
It's
It
a
just
Pokemon.
fucked up her whole life with that. It's amazing.
Yeah.
I really appreciate this. So far, we've just had Monster of the Week, and then it gets destroyed, and that's it. But here, there's a slight breaking of expectations when Eggman's like, "Oh, hey, I'm back," after like a minute,
Hey, guess what, fuckers? I'm here.
and then all of his little robots fuse into a big robot. I like that. That's great.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty Eggman-y.
Well, and the way Amy fights it feels very properly Sonic-y too, by smashing each segment all really fast one by one.
I could totally see like a fan game replicate this.
Yeah.
There's an obstacle in Frontier's Final Horizon that is these stacks of like blocks that you hit with Amy specifically that do that.
Perfect.
It's not a reference; it's just coincidence. But
Right.
hell, she smashes Eggman in it next week too. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
that is, you know, we've talked about Amy at various points about how they fuck up her characterization in the games. I would say that this episode manages to ride the line pretty decently between her loving Sonic and her not being the most terrifying thing ever, but also still getting to do stuff.
Yeah, she's not that bad in this episode.
No, by and large, this episode, this episode does it just fine.
Yeah.
She's just slightly intense, very obsessive, but not to the point of actual insanity, which is
We're not
really
looking at another
me.
Sonic battle, Amy.
Yes, thank goodness. The only thing that worries me slightly is that Sonic seems to almost be going with it.
That's the thing, is that, you know,
Yeah.
Amy knocks Eggman Team Rocket out of existence, and then she falls in the water, and Sonic jumps in to save her, even though he can't swim.
Yeah, not one of the characters who can actually swim.
And, okay, for one thing, we see that happen, and then we see Amy waking up, and Sonic's gone, so it's like, whatever he did, apparently... water is not that big a deal, because they don't say that like, oh, Tails pulled him out or something like that. No,
Right.
Either Sonic learned to swim, which is not something that we've ever seen and doesn't seem true based on the rest of the show, or Sonic risked his own life just because he cared that much about getting Amy, even though somebody else probably could have done that.
I mean, at the end of the day, he is the hero. So
I mean, he is the hero. I'm not denying that, but it's they are definitely portraying Sonic as throwing caution to the wind here specifically for Amy.
Right.
Case
Because
in
before
point.
then, like when he gives her the bracelet, he seems like really actually kind of touched by that.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily too bad for Sonic to be appreciative of it.
No.
I'm just pointing it out.
Yeah, because that's one of those signs, and then at the end of the episode here is the big bit, which is that, well, no, not Big the Cat, he's not here yet, but
Damn.
but
Yeah.
Amy, you know, she wakes up and Sonic's already left, and you know, she's like, oh, you know, well, it destroyed my previous bracelet, but I'll make him a new one. But then we see that the previous bracelet was only partly destroyed, and Sonic took it. So it's like,
Which
oh, he's...
we already saw it was only partially destroyed. It only had one shell broken.
Yeah, so they're definitely selling SonAmy as a ship, and we're going to see this across the entire rest of the show a little bit more. They're definitely selling SonAmy as a ship more than any other Sonic media in this show.
That doesn't, and I'm gonna be honest, that doesn't surprise me all that much that they would do that, because I kind of expect, or sort of expect that from an anime, to choose a ship and run with it, even if they don't make it fully canon.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing, is that like Amy herself in this episode, it is there, but they're not crossing a line.
Yeah, I think if they're gonna tease it, that's the way to do it.
Well, we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah, I am curious.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, my like or dislike of Sonic and Amy as a pairing is based on how I feel, whether I feel that they've been done well as characters with any kind of connection. And in Sonic X specifically, we don't know exactly what these versions of the characters are like, even if this is the show that supposedly is supposed to be the definition of their characters, which, if this is going to be that they are a good match, but it's not like the games, then that's not necessarily a problem. But we haven't seen a lot of that yet.
Yeah.
But that is it for that episode, and that is it for our 3 episodes of the night. I guess they went better as they went?
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
They're definitely still keeping things very, very casual, though. It's not
Yeah.
it's a lot of sideways progression, not really upward progression.
Casual's not inherently a bad thing. It's just keeping it too casual is the problem.
I think what you got to do is, the Amy episode is fine, I would say, and I think that if you
Yeah.
do more character episodes, and I think if you do their personalities right, unlike the Cream episode,
Yeah.
and just keep Eggman in the mix,
Always.
have whatever your character's arc is supposed to be related to something that Eggman is attacking with. It's almost like a Sailor Moon thing where the theme of the episode or the character's arc is always what the villain is doing.
Right.
Yeah, and or you could just do what we're gonna see next time, because episode 10 is next time. That's the baseball episode, and you just do a completely wacky farce.
I mean, as long as it's entertaining, go ahead.
Yeah. But that is going to be it for tonight. I think was this week better than last week, you'd say?
Probably.
I can't remember what the 3 episodes last week were. It's all blurring together already.
That might say everything right there.
Okay, well, okay. Last week we had the Chaos Emerald episode, which was
Uh-huh.
mostly boring. We had the Robot
Yeah.
Teacher episode, which was stupid but in a fun way.
Mm-hmm.
And we had the Sonic vs. Knuckles episode, which was basically only good for the Sonic vs. Knuckles portion.
Right.
I have to say I prefer last week actually because the Sonic versus Knuckles fight was actually
Yeah.
really great.
Okay. Well,
Eh.
they're not on astronomically different levels, but
Yeah, I
that's
think
fair.
I think that's the problem. Is I can't really compare them because they feel similar enough.
All right. Well, next time on Deep Dive Zone, we'll get baseball, we'll get Rouge, and we'll get an attack on Eggman's base. So that should all at least be a change of pace.
That's true. Yeah.
And with all that being said, that is going to be it for tonight. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you to my co-hosts for being here. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback or criticism, you can find us at any of the links in the link tree in the description. And if you like this video, please feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. We will see you next week for another exciting episode. I hope you have a great rest of your week. I hope you have a great rest of your night. And take care.